corner, so to say, that we design it for. So
You're
again,
locked down, what square footage we got, period.
exactly, but now, it can be design, it can be over-designed, and it can be throttled down, like you said. So if we do, I mean, we're gonna have that conversation, this is something that's not gonna be installed for, you know, potentially a year from now. So as we go through that design process, we can have reality check and say, does this make sense to?
Change the price?
The answer is yes, but,
I was gonna say,
but
if
not significant.
you were gonna say no, I was gonna really grill the hell out of you.
No. But in some cases, jumping to the next model, you know, the next size up may be nominal, right? And it may be a smart decision.
But Ayler's company didn't say anything we got, right?
And that's why we talked about that owner discretion.
Did he leave you on your own?
Those are the type of things that.
Oh, there you are, okay. Mistake.
Okay.
Bailed on her,
I
right?
think it's too, and you can see it's a sensitive item in our community here about how we handle investing and improving, quite honestly, our infrastructure. It's very sensitive. What is your suggestion there and how we present this, quite honestly, to the community?
Mike, I'm gonna let you answer that one. You've been through this so many times.
Yeah, it's, and I've just been listening to the discussion and all of the points are valid. It's tough for us to recommend making a significant investment in a building that we don't think is gonna be there in the long haul. That said, if it's gonna be another 10 years, those kids deserve, you know, that's a entire generation, so to speak, of kids going through the system. They deserve a good environment as well. There's not an easy answer. We've done it in past programs, or we've established like a bridge plan, so to speak, knowing that we were, you know, it's designed to be a 10-year plan. I guess a way to think about it, again, and knowing, we haven't had the opportunity to spend enough time in the community to really, you know, we understand that the past, but once we're here 6 months, I want a much better feel. But at this point in time, you all know the community that's the best.
Okay,
And I,
you did
yeah,
a great job, by the
I know, it's-
way. What a dance routine you got.
It's a tough one. And a middle of the road idea might be to increase the budget by half that amount, and then if bids come in under, you use the bid underage to, you know, and we save the 1922 section till the end. And if bids come in under, you use the surplus, plus maybe built in a little extra cushion to address it, and if they don't, then you have to go with the scale down version. That's maybe a middle of the road approach.
Compromise.
Steve, you hear what we're talking about?
Yep.
I value your opinion.
Oh Lord, here we
Can you tell
go.
me what you think?
Well, you know, since going through all the process, everything, you do look at the facility, and I guess when I walk through that building, and I see, you know, the major use items, you know, let's say the fitness center, the third story, you know, the center core wing on the 22 section is pretty much being evacuated. So you don't have a lot of use at that point right now in that facility. If any, you use that for storage or some effect. We're always short of storage for products. You know, the 39 section, the dual classroom upstairs, I think that's money well spent there because of the fact that those are nice sized classrooms. You have elevator accessibility to that area, so it's approachable. You know, I guess I'll say from a taxpayer standpoint, knowing what I know, I'd have a hard time putting $1 million on that building. I really do. That's just my personal opinion. But you know, I think to take care of the areas that we proposed makes the building usable as it can be used, in my opinion. I don't think we directly affect the educational side from your standpoint, correct?
Realistically, I'm in the process and have already started phasing nearly all classroom space out of the 1922 section, with the exception of that core wing that we're talking about that would get some use out of that 500,000. So I'm doing my best to get as many the kids out of that 22 section into the main building, and we've almost effectively done that already.
That's good to know.
Yeah, and I think truly we can do that. I've listened to Corey and I'm listening to Matt, and Matt, I hear what you're saying, but Corey's lived here not quite as long as some of us has, and he has a strong feeling that the community only wants the minimum. Well, in my opinion, if there's a different board, and they take a perception study, and would do what the community asked, you'd have a very high chance of passing a referendum.
Say that again?
We did a what?
Perception study that we did, we sent out that,
If we followed it, I think is what
Yes.
Kelly's saying, where they said a $20 million referendum, I think that's her.
yes, that's
Oh,
exactly what I
oh,
said.
oh,
okay, now I'm sorry,
So,
now I understand what
When
you're
you
saying.
go back to our community,
It is very
That's,
true,
that criticism
Yeah.
I've heard, it's real.
it's very
we know
true, it's
that.
out there.
we sure.
So I get a little tired of hearing Corey say the community.
So
Sometimes you
you'd
should
rather
listen.
spend this then?
We're gonna have to spend this.
She's aligned with you.
No, that's not what she's saying.
No, I'm not.
Kind of aligned with me.
I am.
Listen, you're not aligned with me
I don't
either.
wanna, no, really, no, I'm not, Matt. I say, I hear what
I get
you're
it.
saying, living in the community. But if I'm gonna say 5, hopefully not 10, we go for another referendum. Hopefully this board isn't the same, and we listen to what's gonna be done, and it will get done. And that will come off.
Everyone's different.
No, I know.
I own almost 2 of everything, right, Matt?
Yeah, it helps your neighbor.
I'm just saying diverse too.
Well, you need a diverse board, and that's what we have, so there you go.
And to your point, Kelly, when you blow up both the back tires on the truck that's doing burnouts in the high school parking lot, and you choose to only fix one tire, that doesn't make any sense, and that's the way I saw the last referendum. My mind hasn't changed on that, and I realize the community said just fix one tire, and I respect your opinion on that, I truly do. I don't share it, but that's how I feel about it.
So this is the list of projects. The X's mean they were projects that the team reviewed and agreed, you know, they were worthy of fixing. Maybe, I think just understanding those that aren't checked and the reasons why, if we could just briefly go through that.
Sure, this list cost us a long time, gentlemen, so I appreciate your talking.
And I don't want
about
to
this.
take a long time, I just
Yeah.
want the board to understand why it was on the list, but we're not looking
Sure,
at.
and I think I'd like the community to certainly understand that as well. You know, we took off the 1.5 million. We took off the 780,000, almost, you know, close to $1 million off the middle school. We took that off. There were several other things down here. Could we replace the pool? We talked about replacing it, about that picture with the white picture. And we did a different solution there. So we took that off, replaced the pool, and we have instead of that cost, we have a lower cost for rebuilding it.
Correct.
So.
And just because someone might watch this video, not replace the pool, replace the
No,
heating
no,
unit.
right,
Air
right.
Air handlers,
Air
yeah.
handlers. So there was a lot of conversation between Steve and the team, and just kind of went back and forth, and, you know, Steve certainly lobbied for, let's just do it. I mean, and not frivolously at all, for certainly not, but just because of the amount of time, and I think we have arrived at a good recommendation, by taking some of those things off.
Was only one item that Steve, and you jump in here, Steve, if you're wrong, was the chiller, potential chiller.
Yeah, I guess, I'll
item
speak that real quick, I guess, so
Sure.
people understand. You know, Mike, when you brought up the idea of the glycol system for cooling, we have a single chiller up on the roof. It's a Train 150-ton unit, and that chills chilled water down, which services our center core, auditorium, home ec area, IMC, cafeteria. That services all the cooling for that space, okay? It feeds all the different little air handlers, feeding cold water to it. That chiller is 1996, and to the point of saying, that is an R22 chiller, okay? So I just want to make that known that is a highly cost item to repair, especially at this time. What I paid for Freon last year, I'm paying 5 times the price now if I can get it. So understand, it's a large chiller on the roof that serves that whole core. It has 1996, it's got 20 plus years on it. it's a big dollar item, it has to get craned in. I've replaced them in my other job many times for places, I know what they are. It's a big ticket item, but I want to be aware that it does service the whole center core. We debated and kicked the can about that, it's like what do you have in there,
It's
347,000?
357, it's the one up there for 350.
You know, it's a big item.
357,000.
So that was one of the things that we talked about,
Correct.
putting into the bucket, if we have any savings, because we have 200,000 right now and that, it's, you call it discretionary, remember that discretionary, owner discretionary? So that's the first thing that Steve says, if that owner discretionary grows to the amount that we can handle this, that's the item, can we all
I
kind
would
of?
like to make that the
Can we
first
agree on
flag
that?
on the
And so
docket,
we're all
because it's a
like,
big
yep, we
item.
agree on that.
And I'll tell you, you know, that does operate a lot, and difference, you have to look at that too, even energy savings on a new chiller compared to that 20-some-year-old chiller. There's a lot of money to be recouped going to a new chiller and new refrigerants. So it's a win-win in a lot of regards, but it's a big ticket item. And we kind of pull it off to the side, but I just want to make sure everybody here in this room is aware that that is a big unit and it serves the whole core.
So you just talked me into having that checked.
Well,
Why did
I'm
you
not
talk
trying not to be
about
a salesman
that?
here, I guess I am in some way, Matt, because I feel it's very important. If you're gonna be
It's
adding
end of
things.
life, it's high cost to maintain.
Correct,
End of life means chances of failure are greater.
yeah.
It's the one opportunity we have to fix it, why wouldn't we? It's in an area of the building that's core
Correct.
to the community, an area of the building that wouldn't really be touched at time of referendum.
How did we talk, it takes us over the $13 million.
And if we're putting in that extra 200,000 already, and we're getting some savings, we could kick that off the
Don't
list.
bet on the savings.
Yeah.
Like my window units for the portables.
And
for all
we're
we
capped
know.
at 13 million, right, based on the previous vote.
There's
Go up to
13.9.
13.9.
13.9 is the, by the notice, we couldn't go above 13.9, so that is the other thing. We couldn't go above 13.9 according to our notice, because we noticed it not to exceed. So we said not to exceed 13.9, and our recommendation is 12.
So this is doable if we
12,944.
chose to.
Yes.
Steve, yeah, what line item is that, Steve? Or,
I see it's
And
It's under the
right
ice.
here?
5.1.
What's the manufacturer's life expectancy of the unit that's up there right now?
It'd be same as, I'd say about between 25, maybe 30 years, depending upon, you know, but this unit is an air-cooled chiller, which sits outside. A lot of the chillers actually interior to buildings. So ours has had the environment, you know, think about the winter stuff it has seen. So you look at that, it's definitely a worn unit already.
So, and it's how old right now?
21.
Yeah, 22 years old roughly, right? So we're there.
This is your field. How many more years do we get out of this thing before it?
Well, and I just want to beat, not to beat the point to death, I just am telling you, when I have to talk about repairing our 22 units, it gets really, really expensive now, and they're taking our 22 off the market. So I could ask to be repaired, that'd be great, but you know what, I still gotta buy a refrigerator for 10 times the price I would have paid for originally, you know? Yes, Frank?
What you're saying is, when you can't get our 22 refrigerator anymore, it's done.
Pretty much, they don't make a drop-in for that chiller anymore, and they won't warranty the compressors if I do that. So if I put a drop-in refrigerant, which is a mixed
I
refrigerant,
totally understand it.
yeah, then I'm in trouble.
Some are taking 360 out of general fund to pay for it, fix it, as opposed to fixing the classroom.
And I guess I just jump on it with concept, but you know, economy of product. If I'm gonna buy a bunch of units at one time, you're gonna get a better buy price on a new chiller.
We don't have any motions yet. We could do the motions. So what else was on that list that was that everything?
That's your biggest
was
argument.
That was my biggest concern, only because of what it serves. If, you know, it does do your whole core, and I just wanna make sure everybody's totally aware of that, because it does. And we would be putting new pumps on that system anyway, that's part of the project, because the pumps are aged out. So it'd be nice to match it all up at one time while you're doing it, to be honest with you.
Now we have an understanding of all the projects, all the project costs. Had a lot of discussion. Anyone prepared to make a motion?
She wants to pray, I'd be more than happy.
I'll leave you alone. You're not gonna like my motion, so go ahead and make yours.
I make a motion to approve the energy efficiency projects as presented today and add to that the cost of replacing the unit that services the Kresge Center. Someone has to do that for me to let that
Look at that number, it's, so we ready? 13,301,544. 13301,544.
with these different.
So we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll say it.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion from the board. Hearing none, we'll go to a vote. We'll do a individual vote.
Barnes,
Yes.
Gorman,
Yes.
Kaiser,
Yes.
Beal,
Yes.
Tomcheck,
No.
Zebro,
Yes.
Alice,
Yes.
six
So,
yes, one no.
motion carries. 13,301,544 will be the number.
And, I'm sorry, Ann, what was that number that we can't exceed?
13.9.
So
Moving
that's
on.
down in the, agenda right here. Okay.
Moving on, then item number 10 is discussion and possible decision, approval of contract with energy service company Meetin3.
Throughout the day, we had a Dean Dietrich, Brent, take a look at our contract, and Dean was just finalizing that tonight. Are you comfortable with that contract?
Yeah, we're just finalizing the last couple items, Steve and I.
What's
Do you
this?
have an overview of that contract
Yeah, what's
for
the
us, or, I
I
mean,
wouldn't recommend voting on it without seeing it.
Yeah. Well, Ann had the
This
copy
is
of
what
the
I shared with
contract,
you.
but we did have some changes that we've made, Dean and I.
do you have a most recent copy,
Can you
Brent? or-
give us that copy, Brent? If that's not this.
Well, it's very similar, there's a couple of items that we changed.
Okay, what's changed on
Very
what the
similar in a
board?
contract.
Yeah,
Really.
We
Yeah, what
can't
has-
vote on very similar.
What has changed in what we have?
Well, let's put it this way, and we had some adjustments on the markup, if there's an ad, and I don't know what version, because I've had like 6 different versions of
And
it.
as a point of order, like, this board cannot
I
action
agree.
on something that we can't read, we can't even spell. So it's a moot point.
Well,
It
I
has
mean,
to
what
occur
what
tonight.
Dean and I talked
So-
about was,
It doesn't matter,
is-
we don't
is-
have it in our hands, we can't act on it.
all right, well,
We
Dean-
shouldn't, you guys do what you want. I voted
No,
no
I
on
would-
the previous, no offense, but I'm gonna vote no on the contract because I didn't support the project, so.
What Dean indicated is that we could finalize things, Steve and I, tomorrow, and get this, I mean, the timelines just are wicked.
We
You've
have to
been
have
sending
that.
stuff back, and he said you could approve it and allow me to just make a couple of final changes on it. But,
What are those couple final changes?
Well,
Any
we have-
details, Brent?
Changes, the ones that I changed today.
yes.
There's 3 changes.
Mhm.
3 changes.
Yeah.
Could you outline what the changes are for us,
Yes.
please?
Yes.
Because
Really,
the board
we-
has had this contract. The
Yeah.
board,
Yeah.
since last Thursday, the board has had this copy of this contract to review. So that's what they were given.
Yep, and I'll just explain to you where they are, and you all can make a decision, but if I go up here at
Yep,
easy, great point,
yep, that
going
would
all
be
the way
great.
to the end.
Do you have an electronic copy
I
of
was gonna
that?
say,
Yes.
nobody,
Can you hand it
Yes.
to me so I can,
Can we put it up here so we know
Well,
exactly?
Steve's
what we're-
got it too. He's
This
got
is,
it on
this
the
is
computer.
the contract then, correct?
Yes.
The
this
final
is
product from,
Well, I told
From
you, we had one wording item changed yet that isn't on there.
yet, so it's not the final contract.
That's what I said, yes.
Okay, so we do
Show me
not
the
have a
word.
final contract.
just send it to me and show me the word, Brent. Show me the
And
word.
that
The
doesn't.
word in it was about retaining some of the equipment that was
Yeah, the
removed
question
on
was-
page 3.
In the contract, when we disassemble and throw stuff away, you wanted to be able to have control over whether or not you wanted to keep any of it. If there were salvageable parts.
But
we had
other
a
than
motor
that,
on it,
that
something
was
like
it last
We don't
time.
care, it's gonna go into a dumpster and get thrown away. So we need to, that was one thing that Brent brought up right at the end here.
Scrap that.
We would like to have control over the stuff that get, the old stuff, whether you wanna keep it or not.
Steve thought some of the stuff may be useful.
That's the only item that was left.
So we're gonna approve a contract without that clause in it, because we don't have that clause in a contract tonight.
Well, you could approve the contract and just let me sign the thing, authorize me to sign it tomorrow with that in there. That would be what I was asking to do.
For
Did
clarity,
you guys have a gentleman's agreement on that?
well, for clarity, the resolution states that there's a contract on file and that the contract that you'd be approving, you'd be approving it and authorizing, typically it's the board president and board clerk to sign it, once the final terms and conditions are satisfactory, as long as they're not materially different than the contract that the board approved. In which trouble by changing word to salary, that's not materially different. The other changes have been made and there's literally 3 changes there, super easy to point out. Again,
So there's 3 changes or 1 change? You have the one with the 3 changes.
I was gonna explain.
And then there's one more, but we have a copy of the actual contract with the 3 changes.
My understanding?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Brent has that. From
They have that,
You have
because
one
they
more
have the
change
file,
than
I
one.
don't have the
We
file.
sent it to you, yeah.
Email.
I mean, they're typing it.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Is this a project management contract, or is them the administrator for this initiative? Is that the scope of this contract?
Sure, yes, the short answer is yes. It includes all the scope of work, but it will, like, the contract states that we'll go through and bid everything out. And, you know, the final bids are the final price of the contract, so to speak. So yes, it's really a design and management contract.
What's it? I want to know who's doing what, that's what the contract should say.
Yes. All of this, we don't know, we'd be doing the design management, we don't have the subcontractor side, because again, that's what's paid for.
Okay, so the administration of the subcontractors would be the district's responsibility?
No, we would be.
We would administer them.
There are
Yeah,
general,
but-
this is them being their general.
Yeah, we're
That's what I
not
wanna
general.
know. Sorry.
Okay, yes, they'd be our subcontractors, you'd see those bids. So,
Mike, do you wanna point out the changes?
Sure, if you go to schedule 4, this way, yeah.
It's on price and terms of schedule. Page 33 is where we have them, Mike.
Yep.
33 and 34.
Yep, sit down a little bit further, a little further, okay, stop right here.
Right there.
Okay, this says, right here, it says, upon approval of the agreement, Nexus would submit its first application for payment covering the work performed to date, plus an upfront payment equivalent to 10% of the project budget. The 10% is so that we have working capital, because we're gonna be ordering equipment and things like that. Brent understandably said, you know what, a lot of this work isn't gonna be done until 2018, and I'm uncomfortable paying 10% now. Totally agree, and so what we added in there was, we would bill for the work completed to date. We actually aren't gonna bill anything until we know the fate of legislation, but we would, assuming that that all goes well, we would submit progress payments for work performed to date. Then we added in here and said, after February 1st of 2018, we would bill for the 10%, because that's when we're gonna start ordering equipment, things like that. Things move fast in the summer construction period, so we'll need some working capital to be able to pay subcontractors and keep things moving so they don't slow the process down. So we just delayed this payment for, Right.
Now, are you taxed on the purchases?
No, no, as of 18 months ago, the legislature removed all sales tax from the school districts pay, so that's no longer an issue. So that was, all we did was added in a statement here that says we would bill this 10% until February of 18. The second thing.
Right above it, Mike, the paragraph right above.
Oh, excuse me. Second thing, what was right here, this is actually a typo, it's a carryover. The agreement we have with you is this number is 7.95%. So we just changed that.
Ooh, 18%.
It was a 7.8, so.
Yeah, it's
There's a difference.
structured, it isn't an equivalent, so it isn't, don't think the previous person didn't take it, just different ways to structure it, so. So that's 7.95. this change, and then
The escalator.
The
Oh,
escalator
yep,
for
and
the
then the
technical
third one is down a
services.
little bit further. Right, let's keep going, right here, oops, right here. This says that, when you're monitoring and reporting the savings, we need to do that on an annual basis. Okay, so there's a cost to do that. So that's $5,000 built into the plan. We had that increasing at a rate of 4% a year because it's very labor dependent. It's all people, with healthcare costs going up and everything. Brett beat us down, so our budget goes up 2%. All of our other contracts say 2, so we said, you got a deal. So we made the bootstrap this from 4 to 2. Those are the 3 changes that we've brought.
All to the benefit of the district.
Yes.
And Dean hasn't gone through this.
He has?
He has gone.
He has, yes, he has.
Any other questions on
And then the last is
Then there's one, yeah.
regarding salvage of,
That's the last thing that popped up. It's in there that, again, we dispose of stuff and now you guys control whether or not you want to keep anything. If there's anything of value, we don't care. You can keep it all if you want.
We don't want to keep it all. There might be something that Steve would like.
Right.
That's scrap metal.
so does the board understand those changes?
It's all for our better. Good work, Brad.
So having understood those changes, any motion we would make would have to include making sure those changes show up as discussed.
I'll be honest, I'm where Corey's at, you need to put it on.
Well,
I
otherwise
can
too.
print it off and put it in there right now if you want me to.
Not
Want me to-
negating that work you guys have done and where this is going at once, but that's where I'm at with that.
I'm just told one clear, do we have an electronic copy of this contract with the 3 changes in it that can be put up on the screen?
I can handwrite those in right now and re-put it back
I
up
can
on
sit there and
the
make a
screen.
scan if you want to see what I got right here. I can put a scanner and
Is
scan
that,
it to
do you have those things?
Yes,
in
but, yes, the last stuff. There's just those couple,
Those 3 things, I need it scanned.
yeah.
I know, I know.
Mr. President, could we skip to, and discuss the, next issue? Well, there, we didn't discuss it. You want to approach it?
I think we have to have a contract prior to a resolution.
Yeah.
Well, if you approve the contract, don't you have X amount of days to null it?
Depends how it's written, I don't know.
I mean, we can not put that in the motion
Well, yeah, can we make a motion to?
to approve
I want to
it.
be really careful when we're involved with a contract. Especially a contract.
Brent is going to scan it to me right now. Do you want to see the hard copy of it? He's got the changes in the hard copy.
Are they handwritten or are they?
No, they're typed in there. So it's just bound, so I can't scan it. He's got the 2%. Do you want to?
Sure.
Have it?
Savings each year.
Why don't we have
Be included. Here we're reducing.
I know. I know.
Savings.
That, yep, I do, I know it's a, I know it should be fast, hard copy. Yes.
What you're referring to, 10,000 for the 10%, or the only
You don't have to sign it until yeah, so you're not actually taking action on signing it, you're authorizing you to sign it once your attorney signs it. Okay, so, Bill?
This, I gave him a hard copy because it's got all those changes with the exception of salvage.
I'm comfortable.
He's got a.
The contract, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
You can't, any change.
So, just for you, both, your team,
Just
whatever you
just
sign,
using
these
it.
changes. Then I'll make a motion to approve the contract with Nexus let me rephrase that. I'll make a motion to authorize the president of the board and the clerk to sign a contract with Nexus upon consultation and confirmation that the changes discussed in this meeting are included in the copy that they sent. That was really wordy, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll have to listen to the video because that was pretty lengthy. I will get the right wording out from the video. But if everybody else understands it.
So my motion is not to approve the contract here, it's to authorize the president to sign upon a clean copy and making sure these changes are.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. Further discussion from the board. Does approval equal authorization to sign? Okay, so that is a form of approval.
And this is with teams.
Approval also, you will have the lawyer.
He's already looked at it.
Okay.
Further discussion from the board? Hearing none, we'll voice vote that as well. Roll call.
Tomcheck,
No.
Zebro,
Yes.
Alice,
Yes.
Barnes,
Yes.
Gorman,
Yes.
Kaiser,
Yes.
Field.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 11, discussion and possible decision, approval of resolution authorizing issuance of general obligation promissory notes for energy efficiency projects. The amount of borrowing will be determined at the meeting, but will not exceed $13.9 million. That amount of borrowing was determined to be $13,301,544.
You'd have to reflect in the financing costs,
Right.
so.
We, obviously, we don't have a number for the 13.3, but to be safe, the bond amount's gonna be higher than what's going into the project. So if you do 13.5 million, and then we'll work out the schedules. And it might be a little less, but that's a not to exceed number.
I think that getting that documented is really important, not to exceed.
Yes.
Corey?
No, it doesn't matter, I'm out. Keep truckers, man, just keep truckers.
Okay. Do I hear a motion or any further discussion from the board?
You want it for 13,500,000. I would so move.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion and a second. Approval of resolution authorizing issuance of general obligation promissory notes for energy efficiency projects not to exceed 13.5 million. Further